Woo!
I can't help myself. Makes me either want to make love or fight every time I hear the bagpipes. Baby Jesus, welcome to Piper's Pit Podcast. Coming to you live right now with, where are you? Beverly Hills. Shoosh, been on the road a long time. That name of that tune is called The Green Hills of Tyrol. And if you know anything about bagpipes, which probably you don't, and that's in your favor, that actually is a tune that would tell the men at war to retreat. Scotland the Brave is a tune that tells them to charge. And I just, they always keep throwing different tunes on, but they're trying to fool me, I'm so glad that so much stuff has happened that I needed backup. And today I have with me, and I got to tell you, probably my favorite guy completely in the comedy world. I met him at the Comedy Store. I've toured with him. He's an unbelievably great comic, and he can put up with my baloney. He was, he used to take me up to the Comedy Store on stage at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there'd be 4 drunk Arabians looking on. Yeah, what are they doing? And he'd stick with me. And ladies and gentlemen, in the booth with me today is none other than Steve Simeone. Ow!
Thanks for having me, Hot Rod.
Oh,
this is the best. I missed you, buddy.
I missed you too. I really did. And we'll talk about it. But we've been geographically the same place, but missing each other, as opposed to not missing each other and not geographically being in the same place.
Right. That's when you know you're a grown up, when you're that busy.
When you're that busy.
You're doing so much stuff, man.
Woof. Also with me in the studio, he's a young man. He is all over the pro wrestling scene. He's a pro wrestler himself, a real sharp kid. I'm proud to have him here. One of the reasons was I want to know what the younger generation is thinking these days, and
so cool.
but one that has his head on his shoulder square, and a kid don't smoke, he don't drink. He's all about getting ahead in pro wrestling, and his name is Jarek 120.
Thank you very much, Roddy. Good to be here. It's been a crazy weekend, so looking forward to talking to you about it and about your ventures in the last month and a half or so.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm not sure. We may have to put cotton in your ears for some of the stories. He's only 22 years old. I scar him for life. I've been everywhere, boy. I've been to Mudfuck, Iowa, Chickasaw. Since I seen you, I've been to Charlotte. I went and killed zombies, and they had me. This is true. I was in Charlotte doing I think it was Make-A-Wish on March the 21st and 22nd. And then, so I got a chance, and I go back to L.A. Just to find out that a day later, I got to go back to one of my favorite towns, Wheeling, West Virginia. Whoosh. One tooth in the whole town. Yeah. And, I made a movie about zombies. Brad Pitt is going to have to give his zombie movie back pay. But it turned out to be a really funny movie, and it's got Hacksaw Jim Duggan in it.
Oh, cool.
It's got Kurt Angle in it.
Wow. No way.
Yeah, got Marty Jannetty in it.
Not Marty Jannetty,
awesome. Hardy. Well, Hardy
Matt
kids.
Or Jeff?
Matt Hardy.
Is it a comedy or is it a farce or is it?
It's all those. Anything but serious.
Gotcha.
Because there's one scene, I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's one scene, and Hacksaw's always jerking around, and so I'm supposed to come in and shake hands with him, and I'm coming in the room, and all right, action, and I come in the room, and Hacksaw put a glove on his 2x4, which he refers to as Lucille, and I had to shake his 2x4, and keep some kind of a straight face. As we went on with this movie, it just, we're doing this huge fight in a jail. Well, because he's zombie, you never know where you're going to find a zombie. And while I'm fighting this zombie, just out of nowhere, I grab a coconut and pow!
Oh, that's awesome.
Laid him out. But, when we were screening it and just playing with it, I said, you guys, the fans after it was finished, tell me what you think. And this one guy, he was beautiful. And he was being timid. He didn't want to insult anybody, but he said, why was there a coconut in jail?
What?
Okay, you out. Security, get him out of here. No legitimate questions. Doggone it.
This is a movie.
Good, this is a movie. So, got that done. But now,
what's the name of that movie?
Well, I was trying to avoid that.
Oh, no.
Thank you very much. And now, just to thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I want to know the name of the movie. I want to know when we can see it.
I want to see Kurt Angle, Beyond Zombies.
Oh, it's called, it's a big mark in my career. It's called Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies.
How'd they come up with that title?
Okay, and now, just, because I'm such a big star, over the weekend, they had a double feature, which was Hell Comes to Frogtown and Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies. And I'm sure it's going to be a big one and give me a lot of credibility in my acting. But it was fun.
It sounds one for IMDb.
One from IMDb, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've done worse. But you know what? Truly, and I don't want to jerk around too much with it, but it really was fun. With Matt Hardy, who else? Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle does an ankle lock on somebody and ends up just having the foot in his hand. And I don't want to give the whole thing away, but drink a beer, get some popcorn, sit down, and it's just what it is.
Yeah,
just laugh and have fun.
Where'd they film that?
They filmed that in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Really?
Yeah, and it was on top of the Union Battery during the Civil War.
Oh, cool.
It was so cold, and I had to do a fight scene up there. But I tell you, it gave me a respect for. I'm a big Civil War buff historian, and those guys that held those positions in the wintertime, the courage.
Yeah.
Those guys had, and I have that kind of courage because, the first thing I said is, "Where's my trailer?" I'll shoot from the trailer. But then, so this guy named Alexander calls me. Now I don't know if you guys are going to be aware of this guy, but I'm going to tell you anyway. He asked me if I would come and on camera do a cold read of 107 pages. I says, huh? He says, of dialogue. Well, what kind of dialogue is it? There's a guy named David Chow. Have you heard of David Chow?
David Chow, man, he sounds like an American. Oh, wait, he's either an American Idol guy or he may be a YouTube singer. Is he a singer?
Close.
A musician of some kind?
Kinda. He's okay. No, David Chow. Mm-mm. Keep coming. So, he's an artist.
Oh, is that the guy that did those murals for Facebook?
He did. Get this. This guy does murals. This guy asked him, would you do these murals? So this David Chow does the murals, and the guy doesn't have any money. So he says, I'm starting this new company, I'll give you some stock. Whatever. So he took the stock, $100 million. $100 million.
For what? The murals?
For the murals.
Skill?
Yeah.
Well, what he got, the story I think is that's the guy that did murals. Facebook's was, internet IPO startup, Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
He's like a cool, street level artist, and they wanted their building to have that vibe. And they were like, hey, man, we could pay you a little bit of money or you could take stock. He takes the stock. 3 years later, IPO, cashes out hundreds of millions.
$100 million. And
so he's a graffiti artist? He's a street artist?
Yeah, he's right in that Roa, Shepherd Ferry kind of.
Yeah, cool kid stuff.
Cool kid stuff. And he was great. But what they handed me was he did a podcast. And like the guy's all over the place. Now, I am not throwing rocks, okay? I have got the market cornered on ADD. However, so he did this podcast, and it was all over the place, but they just wanted to hear my take on it. And they just plunked these pages cold. And, baby, I just rolled through them, threw the pages up in the air, and did my take on it. And you'll be able to see that pretty soon. My take was a pretty rough take, to be honest with you. I was pretty sincere in what I was saying. And he had some, really strange things he talked about. Like, I got to be careful here. He spent a little time in jail, I guess. And one of the things was, you're not supposed to masturbate a lot because your hand gets coarse. And I'm dying here. And
how does whatever that affect your gets coarse, time in jail?
I'm not sure why he was in jail.
No, how does that affect your time in jail? What if your hand is coarse and he's just like, you get carpal tunnel in jail? He's like, where are you going? He's like, what's the problem?
You
got to relieve your stress somehow.
And he was saying that it's better because then when you get with somebody, and I'm reading this. Right?
That's on the 107 pages?
Oh, yeah. Brother, have you ever heard me talk about masturbation?
No.
I got 4 kids.
What was it his? That's hysterical. What was it, like his life story?
No, it was just he went on this rant on the podcast about, you lazy, you just sit at home and be lazy, just go do it. I hear about these people and they want to do art, and just do it. And, it was that kind of a rant. And then he just changed his subjects to masturbation. And, because it's coarse, and then your penis gets coarse. And like, okay.
Sounds like a comedy store.
It sounds like something late at the comedy store you'd hear. So, I went and did that, and got all the rules of masturbation down. A little late for the hot rod. And then I went to Charlotte.
Woo, woo.
Dance all night, dance all night. There you go. Ric Flair country. And Charlotte was wonderful. My oldest daughter was born in the Presbyterian Hospital.
In Charlotte?
In Charlotte, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it's always got a place in my heart. And the number of people that are coming out, the line's 2 hours long. And we'll talk about that in a second. I'm just kind of catching you all up.
You're doing a meet and greet there?
Yeah, I was doing a meet and greet and a screening. And, we'll talk about the WWE network that is just running wild. And people are pouring out. I mean, the amount, if you got a name or they know of you, it's incredible. And actually had a real good time in Charlotte. So, I was in Charlotte, now we're talking about, March 21, 22, 23. Finally, I get home, and, last Monday, the podcast, boom, and then Tuesday, we need you back for the zombie picture. So, boom, we go back for the zombie picture, and all right, I'm done. And all of a sudden, no, you got to go to Wrestlemania 3 days later. So, okay, everybody out of the pool. I just went, you know what? I just plunked myself down in the East Coast, took a bit of a break, and came in Thursday to WrestleMania, man. Holy cow, and I brought my son.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. I love my son so much. He's growing up though.
Is he a fan, or is he just want to come along for the ride, or
he's a fan? That's so okay. Very good. So I'm sitting in the catering with Colt, and somebody comes up behind me and kind of grabs my shoulders, and I turn around, and it's The Rock.
Oh, cool.
And he's like, The Rock is such a gentleman. He says, Mr. Piper, I just want to pay my respects. And I got up and give him a hug. And, I fought The Rock's grandfather, Peter Maivia.
Wow.
In Hawaii. And this is what I went as the Great Howley on my T-shirt, which is, the Howley is a a real negative connotation on what they call a white person over there. And so I got, the Great Howley on the T-shirt, and I'm going toe-to-toe with Peter Maivia. And what they do is they break off the antennas of cars. And when you're coming back, because they're telescoped, the antennas, they bring them out, and they just whip the dog out of you. And Peter, Mr. Maivia, come here. He was a tough boy, Peter.
How old were you when that happened?
I was maybe 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And holy cow, got, anybody dumb enough to put the Great Howley on. and told The Rock about that, and we laughed. And then, a true story, we got the WWE wrestling game, and so I said, okay, Colt, it's okay, put your favorite wrestler on, right? Me, right? He puts The Rock on. Really? And I told The Rock that, he just smiled. And it was, he was just being real sincere and a gentleman. So, got that done, and to the left, here comes Stone Cold. And, it's just another really, really good man. And he goes, what trouble you got in today, Piper? All kind of idea. And I said, well, you stay around a little longer and you'll see. He was good. In the lunchroom, and as we were getting started, all of a sudden, here comes Sergeant Slaughter. Here comes Hacksaw. Here comes Flair. Here comes Bret Hart.
Awesome.
Wow, everyone.
Everyone, yeah. And
they're for the Hall of Fame and just the whole
from the Hall
festivities.
Of Fame. Holy cow. The Hall of Fame. Now, Steve, you were actually at WrestleMania.
Yes. My first WrestleMania ever.
Which is so cool.
It was the coolest, because I remember being a little boy, before even the advent of pay-per-view.
Yeah.
They had what was called closed circuit.
Sure.
And you would go to an arena and watch it on a giant screen. And I saw WrestleMania 1.
Nice.
Where it was you and Mr. Wonderful versus T and Hogan. And then now 30 years later to finally get to go was the greatest.
What a great WrestleMania to be at. I think it was one of the best WrestleManias they've had in years. As far as
really?
From start to finish.
Really?
In my personal opinion.
I agree. I thought it was great.
See, this is interesting because, both you gentlemen are a different generation, not by much, but different generations, and they have different looks on things than maybe I do. And it's like Jarek, what was your favorite moment? If
WrestleMania
30, yeah.
My favorite moment, I had a party at my house with non-wrestling fans, and to have people that don't really necessarily understand it, and the opening match was Daniel Bryan versus Triple H.
Awesome.
And they had the video segment that just perfectly told the story of this underdog and his tribulations, and then everyone at the party in the room, when it was coming back for Daniel Bryan, to fight back, everyone in the room was doing the yes chant.
Yeah. Everybody in the room was?
So it was 15 of us in this small living room just screaming along with everyone. The 80,000 people. So it was just really cool because it's just even that brought out an emotional response to people who don't necessarily
Sure. Because everybody understands
the
that.
Business.
Yeah, that's what makes
everybody
wrestling
understands
great.
That.
Yeah.
That's why wrestling is so popular. You don't need to speak any language.
No.
You know what's going on.
And you can plug right back in. You're like, okay, this guy's the underdog, this guy's the jerk.
There you go.
Let's go underdog.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm proud of that young man. I had the pleasure of doing a Piper's Pit with him, I have to guess it, 4 or 5 months ago. What a square, respectful young guy he is. So I was really happy for his success. He's a good guy. Stephen, your favorite moment?
Oof. There's so many. I get totally caught up in it.
Sure.
I really
maybe just a moment.
Probably for me, just because of this knowing you so well and wanting I wanted this to happen, and I didn't think it would happen at WrestleMania. And as part of the show.
Yeah.
But when you and Mr. T didn't not only shook hands but you hugged, I thought that was amazing. I thought to me because I know the backstory there, and I thought that was amazing.
Holy cow! And we'll talk about that in a second. That really stuck out. You know, a lot of that was improv. All of it, actually. All the intentions were just improv.
Yeah, it looked like you were really, really like struggling, and it was
a little bit.
It was just like in your heart of hearts, like I could tell through the camera. It's like, man, I really don't think he wants to touch him, let alone shake his hand.
You know, and you got to go like these. We're grown men, and it was 30 years ago, and still that animosity, like it was real.
Yeah,
there was nothing pretend about it. Now, when he did his Hall of Fame speech, Mr. T, did you get a chance, Jarek, to see the Hall of Fame speech?
I did not. I wasn't around for the Hall of Fame.
Gotcha.
I was there.
Steve, did you?
I was there with Gabriel.
Well, yeah, we love Gabriel.
It was
Gabriel
awesome.
Iglesias.
And then Mr. T speech, like there was a lot of heartfelt moments there, but like he kept on going
about his mummy.
Yeah, and then my mom did this, and then I was like, "Is this a work? Is this like?"
You know, go.
Yeah, and then I kind of felt bad, to be honest. I felt like when Kane came out,
he got the hook.
Yeah, got the hook, kind of, and you could tell Kane was like trying to be respectful, but he's like, "Dude, that had to go 40 minutes."
Yeah,
his speech alone.
Speech alone.
Oh man, but you know, he said he wanted to talk about his mother.
Yeah,
and he started talking about how his mother was there for all of them.
Yeah.
And then it continued on to when she was pregnant, every time she grew an inch, the universe would have to back off, and then her urinary tract. And
he was going,
you know, now when it got to the urinary tract, and people were, at this point, I'm convinced this guy's a comedic genius. This guy, and I figured, and you know, and then he goes like, and President's Day, you remember your mother. And
Arbor's Day. Yeah, because he was like, you don't just remember your mama on Mother's Day. Anybody could do that. You got to remember on President's Day.
On President's Day.
And on Halloween. And on Arbor Day. And people started to laugh.
They started to laugh. If he could have got out there, I think it would have been a pretty cool speech. But, you know, Mr. T's a different kind of guy, and he wanted to finish it. And after the break, I'm going to come back, and Mr. T and I actually looked at each other. But we're going to talk about that after the break. You're on Piper's Pit, and we're podding. We're podding with Jarek, 120. And with Steve Simeone, two of my favorite guys. And when you come back, I'm going to give you some heavy-duty inside. Look out. Be right back. Going to pay some bills.
Hey there, my name's Paul Shirley. I'm a washed-up basketball player. I wrote a book about my career called Can I Keep My Jersey?
And I'm Justin Halpern, creator of My Dad Says, and I basically exploited my elderly father for money.
Together, we have a podcast called Short Corner.
About the NBA. On our last podcast, we had Steve Nash on, and I can promise you we didn't ask the same stupid questions that every single other person has probably asked Steve Nash.
So go to podcast1.com, hit that fancy or not-so-fancy download button, and our sultry voices will be in your head.
We'll be inside you.
Woo!
Well. You know, there's never a dull moment. Piper's Pit, pod, pit. You know, just PPP. PPP, baby. We're back. We're back with Steve Simeone, my most favorite comedy guy in the world, and Jarek 120, who knows everything there is to know about pro wrestling, one of the young generations, 22-year-old young man that's been wrestling for how long now?
Since 2007. So
wow. Wow.
I started when I was 17.
Nice.
As far as getting in there, I just turned 17 when I first got in the ring.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Greg the Hammer Valentine was there. And so,
no way.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So that was cool, I guess. And
yeah, who broke you in?
You know, I was in Michigan. It was just a friend of mine had come up to me and said, "How would you like to wrestle in a real ring in front of real people every single week?" And I was just, well, I'm not going to turn that down.
Yeah, that sounds like the coolest thing ever.
So his name is Justin Klotz. And
Justin Klotz.
Yeah, he's the one who got me in the gig. So,
when was the last time you saw him?
He and I actually had a falling out.
I gotcha.
We had a match. And we did something that was kind of reckless, and I kind of went on the air. I'm not going to say what it is here because I basically went on to do an interview somewhere else, basically calling him out on it, and then we had beef over. So you can't go on tell people about that type of deal.
Yeah, you
it's
can.
just that was it. And so no, he's a great guy. He's still working himself, and
I hear you. Well, good for you for taking the high road. You know, speaking of beefs. That happens in our business.
Yeah.
I had a beef with a guy, lasted 30 years. We fought each other, toe to toe. I wouldn't take any back steps from him. He tried not to take any back steps from me. But some magic happened at the Hall of Fame this year. Going to the Hall of Fame and sitting down and watching all those guys being inducted, it's a long night. But you always justify it by, listen, they sat there when I got inducted, so out of respect for them. And I knew, of course, that Mr. T was getting inducted in the Hall of Fame. And, I had a lot of people saying, hey, go get him, jump the stage, just jump in the middle of it. And Come on. And then my next breath, I go, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I go back and forth, and I have my son there, Colt, and I'm watching the speech, and I'll tell you the truth about it. And the speech about him and his mom, and at one point when T started talking about his mom's urinary tract that suffered with each baby,
Yeah.
I started to believe that he really was a comic genius, and we've discussed this. But then I started watching him, and the sentence that grabbed me was his son Marcus, who had a master's degree in something.
Yeah.
And that got my attention. So the Hall of Fame is over. And
at this time, did you still have kind of bad blood going into the speech before he started speaking?
Absolutely. Walking into the building, I didn't want to be around him. When I stood and clapped when he came out, I didn't for one other guy. I don't want to be a hypocrite. There's some people there weren't standing for. But I had been asked a lot of questions about T and how I felt about him being inducted. And, at the time, I think I just gave a clouded answer, which is, well, it's in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. And, it was just kind of a clouded professional wrestling grudge answer that didn't mean anything other than you were answering a question. So now everybody's, the thing's broken down. Hall of Fame is over, and we're all trying to get out of there. And it's for you that have never seen it, you get back there, and everybody's dressed up, but it's it's a mass of people trying to get down hallways to get to their prospective drivers, buses, whatever they're doing.
All right.
And so God works in mysterious ways, man. I'm with my son, and I'm trying to get out. And in front of me, down the hallway, about 10 feet, is Mr. T. Mm-hmm. And he's got his back to me. And I look at my son and say, you got a coconut? No. No, I didn't say it. I looked at Mr. T, and then his son was next to him. And right away, the dad kicked in me. And I looked at my son, and I said, Colt, I'm going to show you what a man does. And I straightened out my tie, and I walked right up to Mr. T, whose back was to me. Mm-hmm. And, I put my hand on him gently, to turn around. And he turned around, and boom. It's the first time that we've looked each other in 30 years.
Wow.
30 years. And, like, the animosity we've had during that time is bad. And...
yeah, I don't think people realize how bad it was.
No. We fought outside the ring. We fought in the ring.
You shared with me once, like, what you really wanted to...
yeah, I was going to...
really hurt this guy.
yeah, there was a period... I'm not proud of it, but there was a period where I was going to get him in the ring and back suplex him and take him out.
Yeah.
And I was dead serious about it. Mr. T turns around, I tap him on the shoulder, and boom, there we are, locking eyes. And I took him, put my hands on his arms, one so they couldn't move in case he was going to nail my butt, but two, I said to him, try to get the language right, because you got a man there that came up hard, and he had his son get a master's. I mean, that
and he was with his son.
And he's with that son, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's who inducted T. And I look at him and I said, I'm proud of what you've done with your son. And he looks at me and he goes, he says, thank you. And I said, the speech with your mom, it was very brave, and very giving of you. And then there's no more words, but we're still looking at each other. Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't know, T, maybe someday we could sit down and have a Coke or something. And he looks at me and he says, well, I like chicken. I swear.
Oh, yeah.
No, go for it. It's like, and I said, well, what about Popeyes? He goes, well, not the spicy. I swear this is the conversation.
That's awesome.
And I said, I understand. I have a birthday coming up. And I shook his hand and didn't make any more of it than that. But what I didn't know was somebody got a picture, and I hugged him. Somebody got a picture of us that's going around the web right now. And so I took my son and away we went. And yesterday on Twitter, all of a sudden I see from Mr. T a Twitter that says, and I'm just got to kind of ease my way through it. I can't remember the exact verbiage, but something like to Roddy Piper, thank you for the kind words you said to me after my speech. It really meant a lot to me.
That's awesome.
And he said, much love and respect to you. And it blew me away.
That's awesome.
And I came back to him with something like, it was time to show our sons kind of like what's important.
Yeah.
And like, when T and I were looking at each other that moment, holy cow, you could have heard, from all this hustle bustle, you could have heard a pin drop and the electricity. And I can't remember what I said other than it's we need to show the world what men do. It's
about forgiveness.
Yeah, it's about forgiveness.
It's a better way to live.
Yeah, and now running around the internet is going, like WWE equals class, Piper equals class, T equals class. It was, and you know what? When I went to do the handshake and, messing around and having trouble with it, but at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do.
Sure.
And if Mr. T and I can figure out a way to make up, I don't know what's wrong with the rest of the world.
So true.
So, it was a sign to the rest of the world and of, love. Love's a lot easier. You can be a lot happier with love than you can going around your whole life hating somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that was one of the most bizarre things about the Warrior too. Just passing, it seemed like as soon as he made his peace with the WWE universe. Whew. I mean, thank God. As a fan, I just thought, thank God that he was able to do that. That he made his peace. That his family saw him loved and embraced by the fans. And you never know. You never know in life.
Yeah, there's actually a question here on Twitter for you, Roddy. It says, from Andy Z, what was your favorite Ultimate Warrior moment or interaction? I don't know if you've met, and this is going to air like a week from now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of people have talked about it, but I'd love to
true
talk about Warrior and your if you've interacted with him.
I tell you, my interaction with Warrior was very small. I never wrestled him, but when I was in the WCW, I remember him coming in the locker room and was extremely polite and very respectful to me. Mm-hmm. There's been other cases, obviously, all right, where the other guys want to say what they want to say. And I don't agree with everything the Warrior did. I do not. But he treated me as a gentleman and as a, I don't know, what do you call it? Like he's a generation below me. Mm-hmm. What's that called? Your peers?
Well,
what am I?
Colleagues?
What is it?
Colleagues?
Colleagues. Yeah, as a guy that's been around a little longer than he has.
So he respected that.
He respected that, and one other thing he said you were one of the reasons, Roddy, that the business could get to where it got.
Wow. So he respected that too.
Yeah, and that it wasn't, it just came out of nowhere in a locker room one time.
Wow. Well, you know what I thought was interesting? One of the things he mentioned in his Hall of Fame speech was he wanted to thank Vince for letting him pretend to be a tough guy.
Yeah,
and he made that distinction.
He sure
and he
did.
said, let's be honest, there's only very few tough guys in our business.
It's interesting.
And I think maybe that was one of the reasons why he respected you so much as well. Not only for what you were able to do to build the business, but I guess he knew if you guys were going to shoot, he was in trouble.
I'm listening to him, and of course, all my love to his family right now. Mm. And as we're saying,
absolutely,
as Jarek said, this is a week later, so I'm sure it's been talked and over-talked. I haven't said anything about it. One of the things that I did not agree with the Ultimate Warrior was he would say, hey, guys like Flair, he would never mention my name, mm-hmm. but guys like Flair who just keep going and going and going and, instead of hanging it up when it's time to hang it up and, and I'm going, listen now, you don't have the right to criticize that. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, I'm realizing, yeah, but you changed your name to Warrior. Isn't that a bit of a contradiction? Get out. And then on Raw, as we all saw, all of a sudden he became the Warrior again. Or however. Yeah. Now, did you see that? Did you see Raw?
I didn't see it live, but I saw the replays of it and like the highlights of it. And it was just a very eerie speech. I remember watching it before. He had, I watched it Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
his speech, and I thought it was kind of just a little bizarre and off the cuff as far as a traditional speech would go. But then, just when the news broke out, later in the day, they passed away. Going back to that speech that he gave the night before on Raw, it's like he is ironic and haunting in regards of it's like he knew he was going out. I mean, it was. I'm sure he didn't, but there's a lot of stuff. He's like, the last breath you take, the last breath, the last beat of your heart.
Yeah. It was, I can't remember. I woke up in a dead sweat about 2 o'clock in the morning when Macho Man passed away. Mm. And I even went on Twitter, you can look it up that night. And I went to Twitter because I was dreaming of Mr. Perfect and Kerry Von Erich, and I just broke into a sweat, woke up, and I Twittered it. And that's the day Macho Man passed. Wow. For whatever, I'm not Kreskin, I'm not anything, I'm not pretending to be anything.
Yeah, but I think there's something there.
But, it's the same thing with the Warrior, and as Jarek said, Jarek 120 said, hey, the last beat of your heart. Whew.
Yeah, it sounded like he almost...
It's like he knew... I don't know.
I mean, it's sad, but from a fan's perspective, I will say, me just being a fan, a giant child, I loved being there and seeing him get inducted, because that's a part of my childhood, and I was like, this is amazing and cool.
Yeah.
And to see him in the ring one more time live, and then his promo, I thought all that was great. My heart goes out to his family.
Yeah.
But I think at least he got that opportunity to have that moment.
Right. It's just like you said, Steven, he finally like made peace. So it's just crazy, like the idea that he was there at the Hall of Fame Saturday night, WrestleMania the next day, Raw, to be allowed, not allowed, but like of all the people to give a speech that were inducted, like they usually in the past years haven't let guys come on to Raw the following night to give a speech for whatever reason. So it's just the turn of the series of events that he gave that speech, and then the following night, that's
holy cow. And I mean, I know that we've talked about strange experiences before. We talked about in my house with my kids and Supernatural and what's going on. We've talked about some of the wrestlers over the times of how weird connections were, and here's another one where, and I agree with you guys that you know what? Here's not Vince. I heard Vince and Warrior actually hugged, as did T and I. And some people were going like this, like for me with T, and man, dude, you should have hit him with a coconut. You should have. Hey, dude, I didn't see you in the ring there. I've never, once a bell rings, I never see anybody but myself. So I do what I think is right. And the fact there was a lot of mending being done.
Yeah.
The whole weekend, a lot of look at when we haven't even got into Jake the Snakes.
Yeah. That was powerful, man.
Oof.
Powerful.
well, I had heard that like Warrior, did he like not put on his ring for whatever reason? I thought I read a report like that everyone was putting their rings on, and Warrior like refused to put his Hall of Fame ring on.
Really?
Or something or other like that.
Know.
I wonder why. That's really interesting. And also, I saw the ring, and the rings have changed. They have a different style of ring now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of the few that actually has a plaque and a ring.
Your ring's cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That
Yes.
it was like with the Warrior, he, you know, as much as he was trying to live down the Warrior gimmick, we'll say,
Yeah.
the more he's talked about it, the more he went there.
Yeah.
You know, the more, like the DVD that was put out by the WWE said really hurt me. He says it hurt me.
Yeah.
You know, but hey, Gabe, the Warrior was a character in your case. So with a lot of guys, and listen, I wish his family all the love in the world. I'm not bashing anybody, including him. It's just, though, kind of goes to show you how strong, one, professional wrestling is, and two, how much each performer puts into professional wrestling to get what he needs. Look at what Jake the Snake had to do, and what he did. Look at what the Ultimate Warrior had to do and what he did. Look at these different people. Like when you talk about pro wrestling, it's like, okay, wait a second. And when people want to criticize, hang on.
All right.
Hang on, man. These guys gave their life.
Everything. They're everything.
To their fans. To my fans.
Yeah.
And we love them. We sincerely do. Otherwise, we wouldn't give that. You just, you know, you get enough adulation after 4 or 5 years, you'd get out. But to go through the injuries and the things that happen, it's like Scott Hall.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
What did you think of Scott's speech?
I thought it was good. I was fortunate enough through Gabriel to get a chance to meet him, and meeting him one-on-one was like, I thought his speech was heartfelt, but following Jake's, like, that was just so real and powerful that I thought it was great that he kind of ended on, like, you know, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
And cool and kind of in character.
Yeah.
But then when I got to meet the man, behind it all. I was like, you know what? This is a good guy.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was, wiser for the things he's been through. Does that make any sense?
It was nice to see him looking, because I saw his recent documentary so it was nice to see him there, and he looked healthier. He looked like great. He was standing taller and had a little more color in his face.
Thank God for DDP. Like, I'm just a big fan of forgiveness. I'm a big fan of love. I'm a big fan of second, third, fourth, fifth, 10 chances, because I know how messed up I am. And I think
you're doing just fine. Steve.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, the more you've been through in life, the more understanding you have for other people. That's my point. It's very easy to be judgmental before you've lived.
Yeah.
And the more you live, at least for me, the easier it's been to forgive. So I was so happy to see him have his moment.
It's almost like WrestleMania 30 was a lot of healing was done.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of healing was done, and also there was a little bit of passing of the guard, changing of the guard.
Yeah.
With yes, and let those boys do it.
Right. Like a new era of sorts.
Yeah, they. Oof.
Talking about forgiveness, and you were talking about Warrior and all these guys in the Hall of Fame. There's a question that came in from Brian V on Twitter asking, why do you think Macho is not in the Hall? Because I know there was the whole beef with him and Steph and Vince and
holy cow,
all that. Like, do you think he'll ever? Why do you think he's not there?
And do I think he'll ever be there? Because he can't do it, obviously, God bless you, Mach, we love you. Because it's not possible to have him there, I don't think he will be put in the Hall of Fame. You never know. Like after last week, you never know. But just to put a twist on it, I've got my therapist and my psychiatrist on the phone, and I see him regularly. And, I just keep getting worse. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Hacksaw!
Awesome!
Duggan! Hacker!
Well, if you're going to hold like you live it.
Wonderful to have you.
The psychiatrist and all kinds of docs all wrapped into one.
Yeah, in Legend House. So for those who don't know, I think in Legend House, Hacksaw was my roommate. He got the short straw somehow.
It worked out great.
It worked out really great. Where are you geographically right now?
I just landed in Detroit, getting ready to do the viewing of Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies.
Motown? Detroit?
Well, you go.
Well, just before we get off Legend House, though, I want to tell you, rooming with Piper was great because I could do anything. I could get away with it. Also with my ability. It wasn't really Piper did it.
Thank you very much. We had a blast. We were, and we'll see what the fans have to say about Legend House. But hey, what did you think in general of the WrestleMania weekend?
Well, it was. I enjoyed it. To tell you the truth, it was really busy. Of course, with the Legend House set sitting up there.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks showed so much interest in it, and of course, I was able to bring my daughters down. You saw them down there. My wife. For those who don't know, Jimmy is one of the best daddies I know. He's got two of the most beautiful, well-mannered daughters, and his wife should be sainted for putting it over there. I thought she hit the lottery with that.
She's a lucky one.
And then I thought the Hall of Fame dinner or the thing went a little long for the Hall of Fame. Of course, Mr. T thanked everybody on the face of the earth. His mother about 3,000 times. And then Rita might have went a little long, and of course. The Warrior speech was
what did
the
you
Warrior
think?
Speech.
What did you think of the Warrior speech?
Well, I hate to say anything. The guy just passed away, and of course that's a shock. I mean, I woke up this morning. My wife came in, wake me up to go catch the flight this morning. She's like, "The Warrior passed." I said, "No way."
Yeah.
Not a chance. But
no.
But he got up there, and he said how he didn't have too many friends during his time in the business, and not to talk bad of the dead, but I mean, after his speech, I think a lot of folks realized why he didn't have a lot of friends. I mean, geez, I want to thank everybody for come seeing me. What was the last thing he said? He mentioned the other inductees as like that lady getting in the Hall of Fame.
No name.
And no name, just a lady. It's Lita, not a lady.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after being gone 18 years, he's main event again at WrestleMania. So, I mean, the guy, changed his name to Warrior. There had to be a little bit of an ego problem.
A little bit.
Of course.
Little bit. The thing that stood out there for me was, I've heard him, and I think Warrior made some allusions in his Hall of Fame speech about, there's guys that take it too long and they should pack up their stuff and know when to get out. And, I know that he's mentioned Flair before. And he's never mentioned my name, but I just took it for granted that he's talking about me,
I actually thought he was eyeballing us pretty good, Pipe.
Yeah, I think he was. But then, on the other hand, the guy changes his name to Warrior. Like, really?
Yeah.
But...
I was going to change my kids' names to Saw 1 and Saw 2.
I love you.
But, the poor guy, he even mentioned up on stage how he was sweating so bad. I mean, there had to be some indication something was going wrong there. But
and he was getting... Go ahead.
I mean, what a tragedy for his family. I mean, no matter about the guy, his two little daughters, as you know, Pipe, I mean, being a family man yourself, to have his daughters bring him out on stage, his wife and his mom were there.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how the guy was, he was a family man, and it's got to be probably, without doubt, the hardest thing that family has ever faced.
Wouldn't wish it on anyone. And we were speaking earlier, Hacker, about... it seemed like the Warrior had some things to get off his chest for whatever it was important to him, and I think we're all kind of glad that, in hindsight being 2020, that he had that opportunity.
He had that opportunity. He seemed, a very happy guy. I mean, the guy who had a very successful run in our business, was financially set. I mean, he didn't have a lot of friends, but neither do we. So.
No. It's you and me, Hacker.
We're hanging together.
Now, tell me, what did you think of Jake the Snake's speech?
Of course, Jake and I go way back. He was actually my wedding anniversary. My 25th wedding anniversary was yesterday.
God bless you.
Congratulations.
Happy anniversary. 25, huh?
25 years, 30 years with me, so she's kind of like a tick. She got in there real deep. No, God bless her. She's a good girl.
She's kind of like a tick. She got in there real deep. Oh, you're a sick puppy. That's why I love you. Oh.
But I was able to get home Monday after WrestleMania, and I was home all day yesterday for our anniversary, and I flew out this morning. So, life of a wrestler.
Life of a wrestler. Oh, yeah. But do you think with Jake, at one time I was kind of going, geez, we're getting awful deep here, boys. We're getting awful deep.
Well,
I don't know.
Jake's a different kind of guy. He always has. But he was actually a groomsman in my wedding. We were close, and of course we had a falling out once he got into the heavy drugs there for a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was great to see him straighten back out. I thought DDP did a really good job inducting him.
Yes.
And I was happy for Jake. He's been through a lot, and of course, he's one of the icons in our business, and one of the guys that has been ignored by the Hall of Fame for so many years.
Yep.
It's good to see him get in, because there's no real set formula how do you get into the Hall of Fame.
No.
And it was good to see him get in.
Now who did Kevin Nash induct?
Scott Hall.
Scott Hall.
Oh, Scott Hall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Scott Hall. And then, of course, Sean came out, and Triple H and X-Pac and they all came out for him. And I talked to Scott a little bit. He seems to have mellowed, as we all have over the years, because, that was a joke. I mean, Scott Hall was a jerk when he was drunk, and he was a bigger jerk when he was sober.
True. Yeah, that's truth. You know, one thing he does, he's got a wonderful son, Cody Hall. Holy cow, what a great kid.
It was good to see Colt there, speaking of sons, buddy. Good to see your son there at WrestleMania with you.
Thanks.
I think they deliberately kept us apart, though. I mean, me and Piper tried to hook up 5 or 6 times over that weekend. I think I saw you in passing at the after party.
Yeah. I was ready for golf cart demolition derby, but you're going to have to wait till Legend House to see that one. It's in there. Bud. So you're going to see the Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies.
We're here in Detroit, and then they got it in Fort Indian Town Gap in Pennsylvania tomorrow, wherever the world that is.
That's nice. And have you seen the movie?
Yes, I actually have noticed it.
You have,
as yourself. I've been practicing on my acceptance speech. I like to thank the Academy.
You made the best zombie.
You really it's a no makeup for Duggan.
I was telling him, you're always hacking around. I told him, so I come to do a scene, and he calls his 2x4 Lucille, and he puts a glove on the end of the 2x4. This is on camera. And I come in, hi, how are you doing? I go back to the script. Where does it say 2x4 with glove? 2x4.
Yeah.
But
we were doing the read through, and of course, for some, I turn into a zombie, and as we're doing the read through, it says Piper finds Duggan a zombie. Piper kills Duggan, but feels bad about it. I said, Piper, that'd be some good acting, I'll tell you. And actually, it did. I said it a few times. I mean, you can tell the difference between a wrestler out there trying to deliver lines, and Piper was a professional. It was, hate to put him over, but it was cool to watch him work. It was a big difference between, the rest of us and Piper.
I love you,
but enough
too.
of that.
So listen, what have you got up, what do you got in the next week or so? You're seeing
I got 2 days, Thursday and Friday here are Zombies. Saturday, I'm over in Jersey or actually we're wrestling in Brooklyn Saturday night. And then Sunday, I got an autograph session at a collectible store in New York City.
Nice.
And I get home Sunday night. So
that's great. If you ever get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, to go see one of the truly wonderful nice men and super athlete icon. Legend, not enough good words can be said about him. You go and see Mr. Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I was waiting for you to say somebody else.
Yeah, you come see me, and I'll tell you where Jim is.
Stay away from Duggan.
Stay away. I love you with all my heart, and it was great seeing you and your family there at WrestleMania 30. And stay in touch. Stay in touch.
Yeah, as always, as we go past WrestleMania New Orleans, we'll be like, hi, Pipe, bye, Pipe. That's as close as we got to each other.
I know. I really believe they're trying to keep us apart.
I don't blame them after Legend House.
Whoa, let's save that.
Tony wasn't there, thank God.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
As good as a guy, Tony, or as good as myself and Roddy Piper got along, Tony Atlas was the biggest ass you'd ever want to meet. What a prima donna.
Holy cow. I just, not to ruin it, but we're in this limousine and it pulls over and everybody goes and gets their Coke and snack and goes to the bathroom, whatever. And Tony's so lazy. He just stays in the limousine, and then, about 15 minutes goes by, and Tony's a protein guy, and he rips one off that, okay, I'm going to kill him.
I don't think it was all gas. I think that was, there might have been a little solids in that pass.
Are you serious? Get the out of the car. So there was one time I thought, well, you know what? We'll save that for the show. Then to see Legend House. I love you with all my heart. Hug the girls.
Thank you.
Say hi to the saint for me. And thank you very much for coming on the show.
All right, but you know what Hacksaw Jim Duggan has to do before I leave, tough guy? Let's do it together.
Ho!
Okay, security. I'm a wrestler. It's airport security's coming. I got to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Holy cow. I love him so much, man. It's just, it doesn't matter what you say to him. I know I've said this a couple times, but I'm in Legend House, and I'm trying to take care of him, Hacksaw. And I say, hey, Hacksaw, have you ordered your food? He goes, no, I asked it nicely. What does that mean? Never stopped.
He's the best. One-liners, always up for laughs.
Yeah.
One of the best things ever was when you brought him to the Comedy Store that one night. All the guys are still talking about it.
The Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard is our Hell's Angel frat house of comedy stores. That's where I hang out. That's where the best comedians ever were all made there. You go back to Red Skelton, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis. I don't know. Yeah. Everybody. What is it? Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
That hid in the piano because the set was so bad.
Yep.
Robin Williams, it's a wonderful place, and you can see Steve there. Jarek, 120, he's going to be somebody you want to watch out for because he's coming your way. So now, let me see. They don't give me enough time on these doggone things. Is there anything another?
Well, there's just one quick question from Matthew. It said, how many showers did you have to take to feel clean after hugging Mr. T?
Well, I 10, but it was still worth the hug. I got to tell you, the whole WrestleMania thing, WrestleMania 30 was, I hear them bagpipes. Okay, WrestleMania 30 was, it was an outstanding event. I was really proud. The one thing, though, that I believe they missed, and it's just because of my ego, at the beginning there when they had Hogan, Rock, Stone Cold out there doing their thing, baby Jesus, if they just had the guts to hit them bagpipes, I would have come on out there.
That would have been awesome.
You guys think you got a few catchphrases? I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you with all my heart. Thank you to Steve Simeone.
Thanks for having me.
Comedy Store. Thank you to Jared 120. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Love you with all my heart. And as we leave with an Irish poem, as I always do. For those who love us, may God bless. For those who don't, may God turn their hearts. And if he can't turn their hearts, may he turn their ankles so we recognize them by their limp. Good night, Mom.
Download new episodes of Piper's Pit every Monday at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.